Hey everybody, I just wanted to touch base and give you some coronavirus updates from Calgary, Alberta. So I've kind of been staying at home for the last little while, with the exception of a couple doctor's appointments I had to run out to. Um, Somehow they've cracked down on the doctor's offices. There's still no wait room for sick people, but basically like anyone with a cold, they're just saying no to. No one can come in, not even put on masks. They just don't want anyone there, period. So that's a little bit more relief. But they're dead. There doesn't seem to be many people going to the doctor's office. So there you go. I had to go get some blood work. I went in to do the blood thing, and again, totally dead. There was no one else there. So I guess that was good for me. Uh, I'm sure if anyone has gone out, a lot of the retailers, you should have 2 meters of space between you and the attendant or the clerk. So I'm purposely standing back and like putting my stuff on a table and standing back. Stay back, stay back, stay back. I went into Canadian Tire today and saw they had a glass partition, which was cool. It wasn't perfect because you could still kind of get around, but it was better than nothing. And they were openly allowing their staff to wear masks. So I saw some staff that had N95 masks on. Um, a few other ones had surgical masks. I was at a Walmart the other day, and their staff had surgical masks on too. I'm not sure if maybe those people were sick, which sucks if they were and they're still working. Um, I was at the Canadian Tire today, and they were actively their staff were telling people to stay back from each other and people. And I was in one aisle, the cleaner aisle, that this poor woman was trying to stack all the cleaning supplies in there, and it was just so busy. There was actually like a lineup of people outside the aisle waiting to go in, and then some people who were just totally oblivious would walk right in there, and then everyone would try to scatter because the 2 meter distance was too close and too tight. So at one point, I had noticed a guy and a girl had like I had to physically tell them to move because they were like too close to my space as I was coming. And so they'd kind of had issues with this, and I was waiting to go into the next aisle, and then they just kind of barged in, and then the staff yelled at them and told them to get back. And then they came in again, and another guy got like he scurried out of there, and I said, "Oh, sorry," and he says, "No, I want to get away from these people." And I was kind of like, "Oh, I'm happy in my little mask and my glasses," but so it was quite apparent that people are very aware of the seriousness of the situation now, or at least most people are. There's still some that are totally unreal, and the couple that were not respecting people's personal space and coming right into people's space, who had been yelled at by the staff, started beaking back and kind of yelling. So I yelled back at them and I said, "No, this is the third time now that you've done this. Like you need to respect people." I did actually have to get security to walk me to my truck because they kind of hung out after, so I was quite nervous. Um, so I was at different ends of the city in Calgary today, and here's what I noticed. Homeless people are very prevalent because there's no one else out. So that's all you're seeing. Right now, I don't good on them because I wouldn't want to be in a homeless shelter cooped up with people. Same with prison. I wouldn't want to be in a prison right now where I'm cooped up with other people. Um, so I guess that's good that we're seeing them, but it's very apparent you can see how many homeless people we have living in the city, and the issue that it actually is. We need to address our homelessness in a better way. Um, so it's very eerie and creepy. Some ends of the city weren't so bad. The stores weren't quite as picked over as other ends of the city. So I went into a Walmart. There's like no meat, like it was picked over, and you could see they're struggling to stock. Again, you guys, you have to remember the semi trucks that come in only carry so much food. So if they have a delivery because they're used to this much food being taken out every week, when we all come in and take 3 weeks worth of supplies, as we've been directed to by the Canadian government, of course the shelves are going to look a little bit bare. They can only supply so fast. So stay calm. I'm sure it will start to go, but we are starting to see some cracks and weaknesses in our global food supplies. Some other things I noticed moving around the city: the Northeast felt very intense and unsafe. You could see that this is an area where there's going to be a lot of job loss, where there is more poverty. There's a lot more people living in homes together. There's people who still have to go to work even though they're sick. And so there seemed to be a lot more desperation, and cluelessness. Like there was one guy who came in with a mask on, and he's saying to the Canadian Tire attendant, he had a surgical mask, and he's saying, wear your masks, wear your gloves, wear your hand sanitizer. And the guy just looked at him and was like, "Yeah, we've been sold out of that for months. Like, So some people this is brand new information to them. Those are the people that are going to be the radical. Those are the people who are panicking. And there's a lot of people panicking right now because they don't have enough supplies. And they're getting angry at hoarders and they're accusing other people of hoarding. It's not necessarily that people are hoarding. Some people are just out at one store and they have to go to another store to get it. Or maybe they're bringing everything back to their town. Or maybe they run a grocery store or a little restaurant in a remote town and they need supplies in their stores too. So just chill out on people freaking out at people in grocery stores. But anyway, so it's getting more desperate. So this is my word of warning. We are past critical point. From now on, crime is going to go up. People are going to get violent, and desperate. So lock everything you can. If you have a building or an office somewhere else, lock it as best you can. Take anything valuable and bring it back home, and then stay the F inside. The time to go out is over. Do not go out, even if it's for a you think it's essential. If you can get by without it, don't. Because or at least make this your last few days to get whatever. Because without a lockdown, this is going to get intense. People are still allowed to just walk around and do whatever they want, and they're getting desperate. There's no funding in sight. Eviction notices are coming out. People are going to start evicting people in April. People can't pay their mortgages or their rent. It's going to start getting intense, really intense that we can't imagine. Every other country who has kicked coronavirus and has been able to get ahead of this has done full-on lockdowns, has stopped evictions, has been able to supplement people's income, has been supportive. The reason we need to go under a real lockdown, screw this martial law bullshit. If people are still allowed to just run around and do whatever they want, this opens up opportunity for crime. This opens up opportunity for people to follow you coming out of the grocery store and steal you as you're getting to your car. This is going to get really, really serious. So seriously, start thinking about this. And be aware that people are very desperate now and they're just allowed to be out there. Our government needs to issue a lockdown. All the lockdown is that they can start giving violation tickets for people that are A, spreading this disease, and B, people who are just roaming around looking to loot and destroy stuff. We need fewer people on our streets so that our police force and our medical staff aren't being overwhelmed, because holy moly, we are going to get overwhelmed. If we're already watching our doctors and nurses freaking out about N95s, it's perfectly reasonable for those nurses who are taking the swabs to demand an N95. Absolutely, they should have them. The fact that the Jason Kenney government is not giving those nurses an N95, but Jason Kenney is wearing an N95 while he's giving sandwiches out to the homeless, speaks volumes about the supplies we have. We don't have enough supplies out here. So it's going to get very intense very, very quickly. We are not testing enough. We have been forsaken by the provincial government. Unfortunately, every other province in Canada is run by the same type of conservative government that has forsaken them. The only ones who have stepped up with real funding and real support for people, I don't even support the Liberals, but it is the Liberal federal government is the only group that's coming and helping people. So we need to start advocating for ourselves and really, really looking out. What else do I want to talk about? Okay, so economic collapse is coming. It's here. Sit in for the long ride because it's going to get really nasty until we have a lockdown or some kind of order. What else did I want to talk about? I'm going to pause this and then I'll come back.